making of a star, they hear my name and remember me. I am afraid. Just let the rest
Also, there's a draft now? Then why did Starlight do an audition in season 1 of The Boys? I guess there's more than one way for a soup to accidentally skin an innocent bystander, but this feels like the universe decided people with powers will be treated more like athletes now just because the show is collegiate in nature.
Or there are multiple ways, like you just said? Dude, how are you gonna contradict yourself within a matter of seconds? You're like the Daily Wire.
Well, folks, here we are.
Someone give me a cookie.
Okay, let the torture begin. Here we go.
You pass for straight about as much as I pass for a
Oh, no.
19-year-old black lesbian. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's just keep
Explain
going.
it. Explain why
Shut
that
up.
wasn't...
All right.
Oh, this crap. Okay, so first of all, you have less brain cells than your mother.
What?
So it sounds a lot like you are saying that, well, oh, I'm getting tired, guys. How many more of these?
I'm not even sure what he was trying to say there.
Marie can't control her powers and is driven by instinct to turn her blood into a spear and go straight for her mom's jugular. I know backstory's gotta be tragic and all, but this is a bunch of conveniently timed weird bullshit.
In what world is it convenient for someone's powers to accidentally kill their parents? Just asking for a friend.
Gen V thinks it's being cheeky by bringing back a soup porn we already saw back in season 2 of The Boys. But it just has Easter egg on its face because watching porn without headphones is always a sin. It doesn't matter if you're at a Wendy's or the library. People get really upset.
boring.
Most kids around here with a history like yours, they don't get adopted. So they get sent to the Vought Adult Facility in Elmira.
Vought locking people up for no good reason doesn't surprise me, but why would being adopted change Vaught's desire to lock someone up? Doesn't seem like the kind of corporation that believes love conquers all.
If the kids get adopted, then Vought no longer has to use their own resources on them, which cuts down on expenditures. That sounds like an evil company to me.
I'm Maverick, your RA.
Episode does not contain an Iceman.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
I've been dying to meet you.
Not obtaining consent for this hug. Some soups don't like being touched, and others have creepy powers that manipulate you into doing their bidding. Just saying, ask if they're a hugger first.
Yes, you should always ask first, but that's not a mistake of the episode. This is Emma's character, and she's realistically flawed.
It's like society suddenly gave up on tennis, so they turned this court into an overpriced Thunder Beach muscle dome. Also, the speedster can practice wind sprints not on a track. This feels very much like the wrong tool for the job, and I'm worried we won't get an explanation for why God U has spared so much expense with its facilities.
Because it's a college, and that's what colleges do? Spend crazy amounts of money on dumb If anything, this is a commentary on stupid college spending.
I burned my tongue on that.
My inner monologue every time I take
Skip.
Not sweating the Incredible Steve, or anyone that has the in their name.
being willing to sweat someone with Steve in their name. Ha! Take that, the Steve who stole my pudding cup in 3rd grade. I get the last laugh. This is a cool scene and all, but these flames don't appear to be doing anything fire is famous for doing. Do Golden Boy's punches hurt more because he's hot?
Maybe the other soup is resistant to fire. We don't have enough information to say either way, which means you can't assume that Golden Boy's flames aren't doing anything. And besides, Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
What I mean, it's like a big fiery sea cucumber.
Lusting after any cucumbers that will likely give you a burning sensation.
She was talking about Golden Boy's penis, not yours, Aaron. Golden Boy doesn't have... Oh, you were talking about the animal sea cucumber. Never mind.
Are you Amish? Is Black Amish a thing?
Making a person of color field your ignorant question instead of utilizing the internet, or Godolkin forbid, even the library.
Yeah, I think this sin right here shows just how out of touch the TVSins writers are when it comes to social issues. In my personal experience, which I grant you isn't universal, people of color are totally cool with explaining their cultures to white people because they tend to understand that people are just genuinely curious about things they haven't yet experienced.
So crazy. We didn't film it.
With what cell phone exactly? Does Emma also have the power to completely forget conversations of the previous day?
Emma is a Gen X social media influencer. This line makes total sense.
Little cricket, you are so funny.
Being ashamed when people recognize you for your work. I once got a free box.
Skip.
Can't fight bad guys from the size of a pickle, so yeah.
Rick Sanchez just entered the chat and reprogrammed it into a Jason-born AI capable of destabilizing the Canadian government.
Discount Jeremy makes 2 pop culture references that aren't sins of the episode cliche.
You, my boy, are going to the 7. No draft, no nothing.
I know I sent the draft earlier for suddenly being a thing, but I didn't expect the show to give up on its own concept halfway through the first episode.
And it didn't give up on it. They're not saying the draft doesn't exist. They're just saying that Golden Boy won't need it. How can someone who watches TV for a living not be able to comprehend simple lines of dialogue?
Very nice, or I will not share my drugs with you.
Dude, if being nice is a requirement to get drugs, most people who use drugs would never have drugs.
Discount Jeremy has never met a stoner.
You feel any different yet?
I don't feel nothing different. I can't believe it. I've been high for 10 minutes and I've got no desire to burn down a school. Do you know how many high school students I have tackled and sat on? Woo! Hey, where would a man buy a hammock at this hour? You want a hammock? We'll get you a hammock. We'll have 2 hammocks. Holy shit. And I got this overwhelming urge to go to an aquarium. They got them sea lions over there swimming around. They look like little water doggies.
Come on, we'll take my car.
Choosing to squeeze 5 people in a Porsche and not a single one of them having known shrinking powers.
Choosing to point things out on the screen and not being remotely entertaining.
Is this just convenient for maximum drama, or is Liam's superpower knowing exactly when somebody is emotionally vulnerable so he can be a real piece of shit?
And how is being taken advantage of in a sexual context convenient? Yeah, when I said you sound like the Daily Wire earlier, I meant that shit.
I can't believe I'm at 7 Tower.
The paper-thin security at this building may be the biggest sin in the boys' verse.
It's almost like the boys' verse is satire.
My brother passed away, too.
I'm sorry. That's why I'm here.
Phrasing your response in a way that inadvertently suggests that his dead brother is why you are here. However, Luke's brother Sam trying to escape is the reason Marie and Andre met, so I guess technically his brother is the reason that she is here and with him at this very moment, but he's not actually dead, so Marie's statement is still incorrect. But
Get little.
thinking you have a kink, when really you're just an asshole who's trying to compensate for more than just not being able to read the room.
How is this a sin of the episode? Look, if you were sitting real life, I'd absolutely remove a sin here. But claiming that the episode made a mistake by having this asshole do what he does seems to suggest that you don't think shows should ever address this type of conflict, which is dumb. This type of stuff, minus the superpowers, happens all the time in real life, and the show is commenting on it. What's the sin here?
I could take my glove off and make you. I won't, because I'm all about consent. But I could.
Says the person who just used their power of persuasion a moment ago to gain entry into this club. I don't think a soup's hypocrisy needs to lack so much subtlety that it feels like we're being manipulated into believing they could say this with a straight face.
Is hypocrisy ever subtle? Yeah, I don't think so. Lex from Survivor All-Stars really needs to educate Discount Jeremy on the art of hypocrisy.
And I think the true measure of a man is what kind of friend he is. What kind of a friend are you, Rob? What kind of a friend were you to me? You asked me to do you a favor, bro to bro, friend to friend, and I did the only thing I could do, and that was to answer the call of a friend in need. You were paid that by putting a knife in my back. But as I see it, as good as your game was, you sold out your values, you sold out your character, and you sold out your friends for a stack of greenbacks.
Won't show it because, well, we can't. But the episode takes Emma and Liam from a gut-wrenching scene concerning self-esteem, body image, and emotional manipulation to one of the more bizarre explorations of Einstein's special theory of relativity, which I'm guessing says something like, the same laws of physics hold true in all inertial reference frames, and the size of your love sausage is the same for all observers, even those moving with respect to one another.
Discount Jeremy starts this sin by explaining the jarring cut between an emotional scene and an essay scene, then dumps a bunch of nonsensical drivel on the audience and calls it a sin. I'm just going to point out that the show cutting between those two scenes was completely purposeful because Emma's sense of self-esteem and body image are both being ruined, which directly ties into the emotional discussion.
Why did you make the little bird sharp enough to slice someone's throat? Surely you had enough finite control over the bird to change how sharp and deadly it is, right?
Aaron, if the episode is showing us that he didn't, then he didn't. Why are you asking such stupid questions?
Can't tell you how sorry I am to tell you this, but you're being expelled.
Why are you telling her this at all? You're just a professor who teaches a class she's currently not even being allowed to take.
That's actually a fair point. Good job.
You saved that woman, but you kind of slit her throat accidentally first, and that's grounds for removal.
The confidence with which he thinks they can cover this up despite all the eyewitnesses and cameras present is pretty wild. And we're just supposed to buy it because of villainy?
No, you're supposed to buy it because of the research on eyewitness testimony. People tend to misremember things all the time, especially things that happened in a setting that was dark and where alcohol was being served. If Godolkin claims it was Marie's fault, then the witnesses will more than likely parrot that sentiment.
You don't understand what Brink did, okay? You don't know about the woods.
And instead of telling her about the woods, suspense will be maintained through the burn first, answer questions later approach.
And again, this isn't a sin of the episode, it's a flaw of the character within the episode. Golden Boy's emotions are clearly going haywire right now, so he's not thinking clearly. That fake-ass laugh.
Wait, is self-destruct a superpower? Because I find it strange that Naked and Ablaze had the ability to do this. His body had to be impervious to flames and heat to completely cover himself and not be burnt, right? So what exactly did he do to ignite this explosion? The only other precedent we have for this kind of thing is the grenade up Translucent's butt, and that just adds an even bigger level of what the f*** is going on right now.
We don't know exactly how this works, and it also doesn't really matter how. The episode is showing us that Golden Boy could do this, so just accept it. I mean, we're dealing with literal magic here. What's the problem?
I love chocolate, but I can't eat it because then I'll get fat. But it's so good.
As soon as they turn off the electricity, run.
What electricity? Now!
Because my opinion and nothing else matters, I'm dinging that we have a retooled somber song juxtaposed over a scene of absolute carnage cliche. Especially sinful when Stranger Things already did it better without losing the metal vibes and with an objectively superior Metallica song.
Did he just say that his opinion matters?
It's false. No way. Not this time. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
Also, Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
With the trustees, we're all in sync.
I don't know, seems like a weird time to tell Ashley that your trustees consist of a 90s boy band, Dean and Dira.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
You're sweet, but this is my fault.
It is not. And being a self-loathing grief hoarder is not the endearing trait that TV shows seem to think it is. It's annoying. Stop it.
This is called a character being flawed. It blows my mind that Discount Jeremy thinks characters should never make mistakes or have any flaws. That would make TV very boring.
This is a ridiculous place to put your skateboard. You'd have to move the guitar whenever you want to get to it or awkwardly pivot it behind the guitar to, is that a second skateboard leaning on the TV stand?
So he sees the other skateboard in a much easier place to access, but still sins this? Look, I hate the fact that I have to point out such trivial issues, but it's his fault for bringing it up.
Okay, which f***ing nerd left the equation for calculating an aircraft's lift as their memorial note? Leave the clever word stuff to me. That just won't fly around here.
Haha, I get the joke, but he also called this clever, so Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
Also, are students just allowed to abuse their powers however they want with impunity? This guy, who may well deserve it, is going to be dealing with an absolutely mashed testicular region for the foreseeable future, and that's just okay with the faculty?
What makes you think the faculty even know about this in the first place? There aren't any professors here right now, so they probably just don't know about it yet. As for whether or not it's allowed, it's probably not officially allowed, but this is also basically Vaught's college, and Vaught has a habit of covering up their nasty bits when it comes to the more popular soups, if you catch my drift.
Also, I look forward to a time when my great-grandkids watch this show for the retro vibes and ask me what the heck a Twitter is. I'll enjoy it.
Skip.
This photo shoot is for publicity. Shouldn't they be showing off their superpowers?
So you think it's a good idea for Marie to cut herself and start flinging her blood around for the cameras? Yeah, you should probably get back to the drawing board.
Luke whispered something to me before he died. He said, your dad has it.
Well, why don't you start by searching your dad's clothes, car, or office? I'm sure Luke meant your dad has it literally, right? I mean, who'd use their dying words to share a cryptic clue instead of the literal thing they want to share? Wouldn't that just be the dumbest f***ing thing?
Yet again, Discount Jeremy doesn't understand that emotions exist. Despite the previous episode clearly showing us that Golden Boy wasn't thinking clearly due to his emotions, TVSins is still sinning it like a Neanderthal hitting rocks together in the hopes of starting a bonfire.
As these two argue outside the School of Crime Fighting building about something I nearly skipped, I was instantly reminded of how inane it is that the school only has 2 departments: crime fighting or performing arts. Marie's already saved a life with her powers, so why not a school of medicine? Hell, considering how often people explode in this universe, why not a school of sanitation?
The medicine part I could actually get on board with, although I also acknowledge that Vought might reject that idea because they're an evil company who doesn't actually care about helping people. However, a school of sanitation? Do you think people go to college to become janitors?
But now that they're both gone, I go back to not existing.
You're ranked number 5. You're in the top 10. That's still a big deal, right? The people down in the 50s and 100s would love to have a word about your definition of not existing, but they're too busy being ignored.
This is yet another example of a character being flawed. Jordan has been in the spotlight during her college career because of her friends, so having a number 5 spot without them feels too low for them. Jordan isn't correct about their assessment here, but it's also not a sin, it's a purposeful aspect of their character.
You all act like you're made of steel, but you're not. No one is.
I mean, other than Ironcast, right? Who is literally made out of steel and is someone she should know about.
Discount Jeremy takes this line at face value.
See, this is why passive-aggressive signage doesn't work. All the kids clearly assumed peeking was forbidden, but offensive graffiti was A-okay.
What's the sin here? How did the episode make a mistake? You just word vomited all over the screen and then rang the sin bell.
Where is all Luke's stuff?
They cleared it out.
Who?
If I know.
So your contribution to this conversation was to simply state the f***ing obvious then?
Yes.
Smells like bleach in here.
Why would they do that?
Why wouldn't they do that? Has she never seen a show in the Boys-averse before? Bleach should be used on everything all the time.
Kate knows about the woods and is pretending not to know in this scene. The fact that you're completely ignoring this for the sake of a bullshit sin is bullshit.
Security cameras melted.
Expecting me to believe that any institution even vaguely Vought adjacent wouldn't immediately be replacing damaged security cameras the second they went down.
And this sin shows just how little attention you've been paying to this show and the boys. Vought, and by extension Godolphin University, have been shown to be rather careless and lax with their security, which is a feature of the satirical nature of this universe.
Your dad has it. I think he hid something in here.
I alluded to this earlier, but now I'm going to really go off. Luke's brother's life is at stake here, and Luke has a vital clue in exposing what's happening to him. But instead of saying, I hid evidence in the region of your dad's statue, he goes with the your dad has it vague nonsense. Now, maybe that makes sense if he knew he was being recorded or the message might be intercepted, but he whispered it into Andre's f***ing ear. No one else was hearing that shit. And if you have to make it code, make it a code that you know he can crack. It is a total fluke that Andre figured this out at all.
I've already explained why this isn't a sin, so Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
Underneath that scumbag candy shell, there's a fucking hero.
Is that the thesis statement of this entire show? Fill it with unlikable characters that we'll eventually get a taste for. But am I going to wait for that scumbag shell to melt before casting judgment? That's the real... No, I'm not.
Your personal idiocy is not a sin of the episode.
Actually, Haley, someone else was there too. Jordan Lee.
I'm not saying that the makeup people are definitely the kind of people to use this information against Marie, but I am saying that she shouldn't be such a big blabbermouth in a public space.
Marie has never been in any kind of public space like this before. She's led an extremely sheltered life up to this point. It makes total sense that she would do something like this. That fake-ass laugh.
Also, this right here is exactly why we need the aforementioned School of Sanitation.
Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
Initially, I thought Magtino's powers were manipulating metal and such, but based on the shenanigans with this finger scanner, he can, what, rewire and reprogram software and hardware too? How does that fucking work? Wouldn't he also need some knowledge of hacking? Or is his true superpower literally hand-waving? Rather than magnetic manipulation, I'm willing to bet it's the superpower of creative editing, which allows Andre to not get caught here.
Or he simply hid when he heard the doors being kicked open? I thought that was obvious.
So while we're on the topic of lax security, Andre sure is lucky that there isn't a single camera in and around Brink's office, isn't he?
Yet again, the boys' universe is satirical, so the villains having terrible security is a purposeful feature of the universe. Discount Jeremy doesn't understand satire.
Jordan Lee was the real hero.
I mean, that day they were, but they certainly weren't a hero the day before when they encouraged everyone to leave that dying lady that Andre dejugulated. No one here is a hero.
Discount Jeremy doesn't understand the concept of lying to the cameras.
Come here.
Aw, what a lovely moment. So glad Marie has someone to look out for her. I'm certain this is a genuine moment of connection and... Oh, I see that stare. What subtlety and nuance. You almost had me there, you rascals.
Discount Jeremy, of all people, should not be criticizing a show for not being subtle. Seriously, this, coming from the guy who doesn't understand children's shows?
What's going on? Can I help you?
Look, from a story standpoint, this janitor side helps show that these dudes are bad dudes and they're not to be f***ed with. But from a common sense standpoint, this is dumb as hell. How is the janitor not on the payroll? How lazy is that? And how are you going to spin Ron's brutal death to his family, Vought? Oh yeah, sorry about Ron. There was an insane workplace accident with a really sharp mop that slit his throat execution style. This whole outfit is amateur hour. And who's going to clean up the blood? Not the f***ing janitor, that's who.
Hey, Greg will clean up later. Let's go.
Ah, yes, Greg the guard. Just when I thought smack my own balls and scream Jumanji was going to be the most unnecessary callback in the episode.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait just a minute. In the previous sin, one of the irrelevant questions you asked was who's going to clean up the murder scene. Now you hear them mention that Greg will clean it up, but you ignore that and vomit some more nonsense into the video? Dishonesty at its finest, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you know soups have a wider range of hearing than us?
How convenient. Has that been established before, or is it just in this show? Now, before you quote episode and verse at me, keep in mind that I don't really care, and I'm not going to believe you.
So he admits that he refuses to acknowledge his own mistakes and will dogmatically stick by his incorrect sins no matter what. Yeah, TVSins is basically just a religion at this point. Or even possibly the Republican Party.
How the hell did Kate know where Andre was? She was supposed to be in bed. And even Andre didn't know where he was going and only ended up there because the guards conveniently showed up when he was going through Brink's laptop.
She connected the dots and ended up being correct. How is that not obvious? I mean, Andre has been obsessed with the woods lately, and Kate knows all about the woods being in league with Dean Shetty, so this sin is just plain dumb.
I'm totally...
Oh hey, you know what would really ratchet up the tension here? A cliffhanging seizure from an unlikable character. And even if I did like her, cliffhangers lose some of their gravity when you drop the first 3 episodes all at once and all I have to do is press skip credits to get a resolution. Bring back weekly appointment TV, you cowards!
You know what? I kinda like this sin. Weekly TV was awesome. As much as I love binge-watching shows, waiting for Wednesday nights to see the new episode of Survivor was always a lot of fun. Take a sin back.
Tree? I am no tree. I am an ant.
We really did come just to show our support. Not an easy drive, FYI. Dr. Cohn says we gotta meet you halfway.
Paul, not here.
Point is, we're trying.
I'm not a boy, Dad. Not all the time. And I'm sorry that you hate that.
But you are. You're my firstborn son. The day you were born was the best day of my life. I thought we were giving you a gift with Compound V.
You did give me a gift. Can we please not talk about this?
For you, maybe.
This reference is a sign that the boys verse is approaching the inflection point where, if you haven't watched the other series, your understanding of what's going on will begin to drop off precipitously.
And that's a sin because... Oh, you're not going to explain? Then I'll step in and explain for you. The boys and Gen V are part of a connected universe, meaning that to understand the full picture you have to watch both shows. If you don't want to watch both shows, that's totally fine, but you also don't get to complain about not understanding things when those things are openly available to you.
Not allowing brassieres, but still allowing man's ears. You're going to have Frank Costanzas and Cosmo Kramer sneaking impossible weapons, all thanks to this sexist loophole.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
In case you confuse this with the present, which in this case is a valid concern, but only because we're bouncing through time for the sole purpose of keeping continuity with a completely different show.
Okay, and why is that a sin? Oh, you don't have a reason? Okay then.
Go to sleep.
Jesus, are you okay?
So, was that a dream? Episode thinks that I'm not going to question if what I just watched was an accurate account of what happened, just so the show can use the sleepy time defrag of her memory disk as a plot device to allow for group inception therapy later this season.
Why is her dream being an accurate account of past events a mistake of this episode? Jesus, dude, you need to actually explain your claims. Otherwise, you just sound like a religion, expecting people to accept what you say immediately without any good reason.
Because it's better ratings if you cry on camera.
Making me feel like the asshole for crying in my pillow fort.
Making me feel like an asshole for shitting all over you.
Butter the ass of every trustee with your tongue.
And what do you do when you learn some of the trustees?
Skip.
Mameu sex dramacana.
Discount Jeremy still doesn't know what a Deus Ex Machina is.
This is nicer than Sylvia Green's bar mitzvah invite, and she had BTS sing Have a Nagila.
Thinking the quality of a production can be inferred based on the amount that was spent on marketing.
While I agree that this thought process is inaccurate, it's also extremely common, so this isn't really a sin.
Cheese and gray don't sell like black and white, do they?
They do if you bundle 50 of them together.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Just a second.
Episode has Jordan dual-wielding their voices, raising all sorts of questions about whether this is possible with their powers. Questions this season has no intention of answering.
This might just be the single dumbest sin in this entire series. The episode is showing us that Jordan's powers can do this right now. You know how I know that? Because Jordan is doing it in this scene, which means they can do it. Jesus.
Also, hypothetically, if Jordan were to change forms mid-mambo, what would happen? Would it be like a sausage inside of a bratwurst situation? And how does Godolphin University not have a whole school dedicated to defining the very nuanced window of what sex could even be considered safe at this school?
Asking questions that are completely irrelevant.
Got you some Burger, Deep's calamari poppers.
Teasing a burger only to reveal calamari.
Sinning calamari. That's worth this many sins.
Also making me think about the time that Deep popped his calamari inside an octopus.
Sinning something from a different show when you're supposed to be sinning this episode from this show.
Deepest, bluest, his hand is like a shark's fin?
Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
This is Courtney Fortney.
Courtney, Bo Bortney, Banana, Fana, Fo Fortney, Fee, Fi, Mo Mortney, Courtney.
Discount Jeremy tries to sing in a video cliche.
Frank always said those aren't the numbers that matter.
He's not here anymore.
Reminding me that you killed off Lex Luthor in the pilot.
Discount Jeremy makes a...
I don't know if I can pee like this. Just let it happen.
This show melts my heart and then makes me laugh until I fart, all in a span of 3 seconds. And damn it, I should be able to watch a show in public without the risk of death by embarrassment.
That fake-ass laugh. Also, Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
Everyone's gonna be worshipping Brink and shitting all over Luke, then I at least want to get some Grey Goose out of it.
Kate picked a weird time to break into her rendition of the Aristocrats.
Discount Jeremy makes...
The best tool for the job is obviously a fire poker, so there's some intrigue surrounding the life of this drumstick. And we never get the origin story outlining its rise to fame, struggle with substance abuse, and eventual reunion tour with its formerly estranged bandmates.
Boring! But in darkness, stars can truly shine.
I think physicists would argue Starshine.
Skip.
Vodka, the expensive you save for the big swinging dicks.
Assuming the bartender personally measured.
I thought I said skip, goddammit.
Brink didn't just hone my skills, he sharpened my mind. He turned me into the curious, intelligent man I am today.
If Brink is directly responsible for the Deep's level of intelligence, I think my opinion on his mentoring abilities just plummeted.
That's the joke.
No, I had powers until my first period. I couldn't control the blood, and it sliced through my mom's body.
Making Stephen King kick himself for not using this as the opening line to Carrie.
Discount Jeremy.
All everyone ever remembers is that he drinks his own pee, but it is about so much more than that.
Title of my... No! Nope. Not this time, assholes.
He did refrain from finishing that cringe fest of a sin, but he still gave the show a sin, so...
I know you're here.
F***ing how?
Does it really matter? I mean, this is superhero lockup, so presumably Emma triggered some sort of security measure. But it doesn't really matter what exactly it was. Asking questions doesn't automatically equate to pointing out sins.
Emma manages to crawl straight through this guy's head on the first try, when I get lost just trying to make it to the bathroom in the middle of the night and inevitably slam my balls into a doorknob.
The difference is that Emma actually has a functioning brain.
Jesus Christ.
That was just a burp.
Can I get some napkins?
That was throw up. Compilation of your greatest hits.
What is it with skull f***ing?
What the hell happened?
I mean, maybe Sam penetrated the ear canal with his member?
I guess this proves my point that every fucking male character in the boys universe thinks they're leads with their dick.
They're still doing better than you. I mean, at least they're thinking, even if it is with their schlongs.
I'm stronger than Golden Boy ever was. I don't know how to contain someone like that.
That's painfully obvious.
Yeah, except they had Sam contained for a while, and even after he got out, they got him back in and contained him for even longer. So I'm guessing you, at the very least, have some strong theories, Doc.
Discount Jeremy doesn't understand that escaping from a cell takes some time to plan. In other words, from the doctor's point of view, Sam wasn't actually contained before his escape. He was simply figuring out the escape.
Also, if it's nearly impossible to contain someone like Sam, then why send the soldiers to an almost certain death? Why not make the entire hall an electric floor, like they have set up in the prisoners' quarters? Or, I don't know, have fucking guards that are also soups. Why would any normal humans even sign up for this detail?
They're doing experimental testing on the soup prisoners to determine how they tick. What makes you think that Godolkin would hire a bunch of soups to protect soup experiments that could directly harm them? It'd be like, we're finding out how to exploit the compound V in soups, but we pinky promise to never do it to you. Now guard this research that specifically targets people like you.
You guys are gonna get a green van and a talking dog and f***ing solve it?
Not to be that guy, but the mystery machine...
Skip.
Are you okay? Did I squash you?
Sam can see Emma clearly, and why would he think there's even a possibility she is currently squashed?
Her internal organs could be squashed? Discount Jeremy doesn't know shit about anatomy.
You have a piece of eardrum on your shoulder.
Is somehow only the 987th weirdest thing said on this series through its first 4 episodes.
That's a bit hypocritical, coming from someone who works for a man who thinks Emma Watson was hot when she was 10 years old.
Okay. Do you think there's a phone in here somewhere?
There might be, but I doubt it works. Businesses that shut down don't typically keep paying the phone bill, Emma.
Discount Jeremy somehow still doesn't understand that people have emotions. Emma just murdered a guy by climbing into his ear. She's not exactly in the best headspace.
Godolkin University. A place where only the bravest heroes graduate. Queen Maeve, the Deep, A-Train, and of course myself.
Also, using the Deep as an example to make your point about the bravest heroes. I don't care how much of a talk show circuit guy he is.
So you don't care that your own points are irrational? Man, you're really starting to sound like a religion.
Strange how many of your subjects end up dead or beaten into comas.
I mean, I guess it's kind of strange, but at this point in the game, I don't know why anyone, especially a fucking dean at a soups university, would ever be shocked at how many people in this universe end up dead or beaten into comas.
What about this conversation makes you think that Dean Shetty is shocked? All she said was that it's strange. She never said shocking, and her expression is clearly not shocked. Are you just making stuff up again?
All I wanted was to be like him, and this whole time, he was mixed up in all this.
Child who worshipped their parent finds out said parent is actually not a very good person. Cliché.
Stop misusing the term cliché. You already sound dumb enough. There's no need to keep piling on.
This, right?
Jeez, first the boys brings in Dean Winchester, now Jack is in Gen V. Anyone else you want to smuggle in from Team Free Will? Is Castiel walking around somewhere at God U?
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
Or there are other ways you can thank me.
Right. This was a mistake.
Hey, come on, I'm f***ing with you.
He's not, and Marie has been shown to be smart enough to know this, but the script needs her to be a little too trusting in this instance just so we can see a penis explode.
When has Marie ever been shown to know when people are messing with her or not? She's actually been characterized as fairly naive and not in tune with the soup world. You making stuff up again?
Can you really find her?
Yeah, I just need something that belongs to her.
Okay, but what are the rules for ownership? If Marie's sister left behind a beloved teddy bear and Marie sold it to a pawn shop, could it still be used to find her? Because technically the pawn shop owns it now, right? So would Rufus here be able to find the pawn shop owner by using that teddy bear? Psychics just introduce too many questions.
No, they don't. You introduce too many questions. All of this nonsense you just rambled about is completely irrelevant to the episode.
It's not what it looks like.
Choosing this response when someone wakes up dazed to find you with your dick hanging out.
Pointing things out on the screen when everyone with a shred of dignity is already sick of your
Oh, hey, yeah,
Skip.
I would kill to be number 2 again. I would kill you to be number 2 again.
Doesn't seem like the smartest thing to say out loud with Tech Night on campus, but you do you, Jordan.
Seeing as Tech Knight doesn't hear this, it's completely irrelevant.
Since when do you care about anyone not named Jordan?
Looking a gift horse in the mouth and questioning said gift horse's reasoning for saving you from being sexually assaulted by f***ing Rufus.
Pointing things out on the screen and thinking that you're being entertaining.
Also, I know Rufus is a dick, but is anyone gonna call an ambulance to help out with his, well, dude is bleeding out in his dorm room.
Yet again, completely irrelevant. Maybe someone did, maybe no one did. It doesn't matter to the story being told.
Hag Team Cocksplosion.
Title of my sex tape?
Discount Jeremy makes a cringy sex tape joke that isn't funny cliche.
You're one of the most powerful heroes on campus.
Is she, though? The mind control thing is a sweet power, no doubt, and it's all but useless against a long-range fighter or someone too quick to grab.
She's not that powerful in a fight, but she's powerful in the sense of having influence over people's thoughts and actions. Discount Jeremy doesn't understand that there are different types of power.
My superpower is puking.
Your superpower isn't puking. Anyone can do that. Trust me, I do it every time I watch someone's penis inflate and explode.
Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
So please welcome a son of God you.
Am I the only one who heard the words son of God and expected Jesus himself to pop up and give a lecture? Like, the sad thing is, I wouldn't put something crazy like that past the boys in season 4 or 5. Jesus shows up, Billy kills him somehow, there's lots of blood, camera zooms in, he says, diabolical. Then I assume Jesus wakes up 3 days later and smites all of New Zealand.
That's how you break a witness, folks.
Except witnesses don't typically need to be broken. They're already providing you with information willingly. You break suspects. Don't you watch Night Court Tech?
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Ah yes, the well-known alternative to the superpower of flight. Leaping. Always cool.
Oh, sorry, I thought he was actually going to make a point. I guess based on his sarcastic tone that he doesn't think this power is cool, which is completely subjective, but given his less than exemplary track record, I feel very comfortable with sending this.
So how do we think your 18 to 49 demo will fare when we broadcast you despoiling every single hole you come across?
Are we sure Tech cares if anyone finds out about his boinking habits? He was f***ing that car in a full parking lot during the day.
You forgot to mention that there was nobody else in the parking lot at the time. But more importantly, yes, he clearly does care, as shown in this very scene.
Andre survives this.
Discount Jeremy forgets that Andre is a soup. This scene is clearly showing that, in addition to his other powers, Andre is more durable than a normal human being.
Eating spaghetti with your hands.
Pointing things out on the screen with a YouTube channel.
I have to restart my potatoes. Put way too much milk. Potatoes, I put too much cream in them.
I have to restart. Why don't you...
Get on the ground! I heard you ripped a guy's throat out. Hey, freeze!
So I have some unanswered questions about Kate's powers. Do they only work through her hands? Because there's a lot of skin-to-skin contact right now, and she's wearing her gloves as if it's possible to accidentally give someone a deadly command in her sleep. And is it weird that a completely different franchise came up with a solution for this problem almost 36 years ago?
There's actually some online debate about exactly how Kate's powers work, which I think is pretty cool. Some people seem to think that she isn't being entirely truthful by portraying her powers as only working through touch, but either way, this isn't a sin. Simply asking a question does not automatically necessitate a mistake of the episode. Also, Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
Not knocking on the door when you know that a knocking of the boots variety very well might be taking place on the other side.
Did you really not consider the possibility that he didn't know anyone was knocking boots, and that's why he opened the door?
Jordan doesn't answer Marie's question. And it's not that the smirk isn't cute, it's that Marie still needs information that this smile doesn't provide. Like whether or not Jordan remembers anything, and if that anything happens to fall within the confines of consent.
You are literally showing the shot where Marie smiles back, clearly indicating that she doesn't need any more information and she's totally comfortable with it. Dude, I get you want to pretend to be woke to cover up for your channel's pedophilic past, but now you're just completely ignoring the episode.
She survives this. Now, while I don't know if the science exists to confirm whether or not you can die by orgasm, you can die from dehydration, and this woman has expelled a lot of fluid.
And she's a soup. So what's the issue again?
Also, are there any real advantages to having a blowhole aside from being good at snorkeling? This certainly makes her unique, but does it make her a soup?
Yes.
As far as I know, of legal age.
As far as I know, of legal age.
This statement coming from a guy who works for another guy who thought Emma Watson was hot at 10 years old. Disgusting and hypocritical. That's two sins.
There are days that I am missing.
Been there, my friend. Between binging Lost and binging Game of Thrones and then binging Succession to forget how awful the other two endings were, I lost like 2 weeks.
Discount Jeremy makes 3 pop culture references that aren't sins of the episode cliche.
Also, wanting us to believe that Kate isn't smart enough to know that one night of partying can't explain why all of her friends don't remember multiple days from the past week.
How else should she have done it? I mean, Kate's not exactly a master planner, and she doesn't have unlimited resources, so this is pretty much the best she could do given the circumstances.
Getting bigger from heavy drinking makes sense calorically, but it complicates her metaphor and makes it seem like getting hammered is an emotional win with no downsides.
Are you saying that getting hammered isn't an emotional win?
I can't believe how drunk you are.
I am not drunk.
Yes, you are.
I am not drunk.
Can you tell the time?
Yes. I am not drunk.
I mean, you're trending. For flashing my giant white ass to the world.
I don't know, Emma. Sounds like an average night.
Skip.
Maybe you saw us on TV or TikTok or something.
The most likely scenario would be that you met him last night but forgot about it with everything else. It's weird that Marie goes straight for I'm famous now, so that must be it.
Except that you just said she's famous now. Do you have any idea what sudden fame does to a person's perspective? Because you absolutely should, given the size of your religious cult.
Wait, when am I gonna get my period again? Holy Emma. What? I lost track. You're insane. I mean, next Friday, though.
Better be careful there, Marie, lest you get a weird nickname like Flo.
Rufus was here last night.
Okay, but that was just like a day or two ago, right? You're gonna tell me a dude with his blown off is already up and walking again? Superpowers or no, consider my suspension of disbelief shattered.
If your suspension of disbelief is shattered by something like this in a show that has literal magic, then there's no reasoning with you at all. See, people, this is what I mean when I say that TVSins and CinemaSins is basically just a big religion. They refuse to be rational, and their fanboys eat it up like white girls at a sushi restaurant.
I'm tired of babysitting psychopaths.
Babysitting psychopaths is literally your job.
I don't think it is, especially since you later describe his job as cutting up soups and seeing how they tick. At most, babysitting is an ancillary task.
Cutting up soups and seeing how they tick is a skill that won't quite shine on your LinkedIn profile.
So, in the first sin I played, you claimed that she describes his job as cutting up soups to see how they tick. But then in the second sin I played, she specifically states that cutting up soups to see how they tick is a skill. She doesn't say anything about it being his job. Discount Jeremy is lying and then proving his own dishonesty within a matter of seconds.
What you're saying is that Rufus has to piss sitting down forever.
He doesn't have to. He can stand up.
Skip.
You got that big soup energy!
It's not the size of the soup that matters, it's the motion in your stock pot.
Discount Jeremy just ruined soup.
If I had trouble believing Rufus could walk after having his blown off, I'm definitely not buying that he can sprint. This isn't bullshit.
No, it's magic. Big difference.
Go, go!
This elite unit of puppets was conveniently able to track Sam to this remote storm drain, but not any of the other much more public places he's been to today.
How is it ever convenient for a team of commandos to track you down? Just asking for a friend.
Oh, you know, she's cool with hiding the sausage and bumping donuts.
But how do they feel about butter and garlic knots? Okay.
Skip.
What made me forget you?
It's not your fault.
Thanks, Sam, but at no point was she claiming to be the responsible party.
And yet, he's reassuring her anyway. Sam is a better partner than Discount Jeremy. Not that it's hard to be better than Discount Jeremy, but still.
Someone's been mutilating nuns over at St. Patrick's again.
Well, maybe that's none of your business.
You're not funny and nobody likes you.
Jordan, it's not him. It's Kate.
It wasn't him this time, but he's still guilty. If police catch a murderer, he doesn't get out of trouble because someone else did a more recent murder.
And what does that have to do with this scene? They aren't cops, so your analogy is terrible.
So trying to take the moral high ground when you're the one that slit open a woman's throat and tried to leave her to die earlier in the season.
He has the moral high ground in this situation. Discount Jeremy's view of morality is extremely simplistic and narrow-minded, which just so happens to be even more evidence that TVSins is a religion.
Something's in my ass.
What in the fuck?
Soldier Boy? What are you doing in here?
I'm Kate's imaginary friend from when she was a kid. Boyfriend, really. Taught her how to diddle that skittle, flick the bean, how to find that man in the canoe. Like a faucet. She'd crank up the Jonas Brothers. She'd hump a Soldier Boy pillow. She'd raw dog that pillow till she saw God.
Gross.
It was pretty romantic.
Hell yeah, brother.
Shut the up.
She just didn't like Jonas Brothers, was all.
I know you. Hey, you're Kate's new boy. She really loves you. Boys, they come and go. But she always comes back too little.
Remember everything I made you forget.
Fortunately for all involved, Kate can reverse all the memory wiping she's done. Does that mean the memories are still in there but buried? Or does Kate have them all and she's putting them back in? Either way, I think it's clear I care more about knowing than the show cares about telling.
Which means the show is doing the right thing because nobody else cares about how it works. I mean, we're dealing with literal magic here. It doesn't matter how it happens.
Which is too much. It f***s with her head.
It's at this point I'm reminded Kate has the same powers as the main character in Firestarter. And now I'm just mad because Hollywood has f***ed up that story not once, but twice.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
Way to compassionately confess, yes.
I don't want to underestimate the human ability to justify whatever the f we want, but the fact that the good doctor is standing next to a woman hacking up several internal organs in a secret lab that non-consensually experiments on teenagers somewhat stretches my ability to believe he truly thinks compassionate is an appropriate adjective here.
Cognitive dissonance is a very real thing, and it's not a mistake of the episode.
So, isn't it kind of insane that Vought doesn't already have something like this in the tank? Shouldn't step one of creating AI, I mean super beings that are superior to us in every way, be to make sure one has the means to stop AI? I mean super beings that are superior to us in every way?
That might seem like a good idea, but it's not actually carried out in practice. Take a real-world example. The nuclear bomb and nuclear energy was created without a way to counteract the negative effects of radiation poisoning. To this day, it's illegal for anyone to touch any buildings or plants within the exclusion zone at Chernobyl. In other words, yeah, this might seem like a valid point you're making, but it's not actually borne out in reality.
Holy shit. This is a memory. We're in Kate's head.
Then why is the episode called Jumanji? Jumanji wasn't a dream. Jumanji was an alternate reality or a pocket dimension or something. Gen Vers can't even tell their Jumanjis from their Inceptions.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Also, Kate woke up, grabbed Marie, and then bam, they all entered a dream world? Why did she only have to touch Marie? Do Kate's powers suddenly have range? When did that happen? Come on, show, give me something here.
That's actually a valid sin.
Crank up the Jonas Brothers. She'd hump a Soldier Boy pillow. She'd raw dog that pillow till she saw God.
Gross.
Really, Marie? Please, tell me more about why enjoying a solo Waffle House session is gross.
Boys, they come and go.
Choosing come and go instead of Buc-ee's or Wawa.
Discount Jeremy makes a really weird reference to two companies that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
What the hell are you talking about?
Turns out you were radicalized by the Russians.
It also turns out that this version of Soldier Boy is imaginary.
Why is sin? What about him being imaginary makes this conversation a mistake of the episode?
If everything in here is Kate's brain, then that means Soldier Boy is part of her brain, which means that she actually wants to help them until another part of her brain kills it because it doesn't want to help them. But then how is anything holding together?
It's called being conflicted, dude. Does your brain melt anytime you're debating something? Oh, wait, you can't melt something that doesn't exist.
No, you shouldn't. He's traumatized and you've just regained several days of lost memories and you should be mid-unraveling a conspiracy to torture students. But sure, boner's gonna boner, I guess.
Discount Jeremy says boner. Twice. Also, these are college students, dude. Of course they're gonna get some before handling business.
So, I know this place has been shut down, but hey, quit wondering. Go back.
Skip?
Okay, since Cindy can't contain themselves, let's just skip. This fictional sex scene has already lasted longer than some of my...
I thought I said skip, goddammit.
Swallowing a pill without water. Forget the mind shit. That's what makes Kate a monster.
Let's not pretend that you don't have enough experience to swallow big things whole, Aaron.
Breathe. Deep breath.
That looked relatively easy. If you could just gas Luke and shut him down in seconds, why wasn't that an option in the pilot?
Because she didn't have any gas? Does Discount Jeremy think that people can just summon objects from thin air in the real world?
If Luke's getting cutting-edge treatments, I want him to.
Huh. Didn't think Gen V was going to go Sabretooth Jordan, but even I can be surprised, I guess. Anyway, the sin here is reminding me of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
It was my memory, not Kate's. It's like her shit and our shit are bleeding together.
Yup, bleeding together into a conveniently expositional clip show adding extra context to the events of the last few weeks. Almost as if for the benefit of a third party watching at home on their sofa or something.
So the episode made a mistake by advancing the story? Do you care to explain, or are you just going to rely on your fanboys agreeing with everything you say no matter what?
Well, that's just disgusting. Do you know how many germs these fluffy toilet seat covers carry? They're literal fecal foundries. Cozy
Skip?
Tell everyone you lost control, but you didn't. You were angry that they barged in.
Ah, yes. Being angry. A common first step before losing control. It's usually followed by shouting, "You turned her against me!" And then someone else shouts, "You've done that to yourself!" Then an epic duel over lava. What were we talking about again?
Discount Jeremy makes a...
Can you make it contagious?
I hope I speak on behalf of the internet when I say that we are too soon after a global pandemic to be comfortable with anything contagious being a major plot point. No, thank you. Title of my Nope tape. This is how you get ants with COVID. Won't be watching this anymore. Hawkeye sucks. Game of Thrones Season 8 was a disappointment. Any more running gags or am I good to skip?
This whole sin was a massive helping of cringe with a side of stupidity.
Is that way?
He's remembered.
No, but the air doesn't smell so foul down here.
Any chance you know a teleporter?
No, but I can cause a distraction.
Jordan, what are you gonna do?
Don't get caught. Hey! You're the girl who tortured Emma, right?
No. I just gave her a platform.
Look at this. Jordan Lee attacking her own kind. Say goodbye to number 5, Jordan.
Can't we make it airborne?
Why?
So it's more contagious.
Ever since the last episode, it feels like the writers are trying to lay the groundwork for another spinoff called COVID V, and I assure you, no one is here for it.
So the episode made a mistake because you made up some bullshit? That's dumb.
If an airborne virus gets into the super-able population, it could spread like wildfire.
The soups going extinct doesn't so much solve Shetty's problem as much as it ensures that she will then have to deal with a bunch of Batmen.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
We're coming to you live today.
And I'm coming to you live with this in for news position.
It's almost like the boys' universe is satirical.
Just gonna twist it like they twist everything else.
Extolling Vought's prowess at manipulating the proverbial nipple of truth.
Ha ha ha. So funny. He said nipple.
But maybe you didn't do that because now I'm destroying the evidence.
Coming up with solutions that only work via time inversion. Thanks again, Christopher.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture.
Her family was on the plane.
Tying Shetty's backstory into the plane Homelander sank is just another great example of how Gen V complements the boys, but it's also a great example of this show relying too much on the boys instead of creating its own narrative identity.
Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
Stealing one of the more questionable plot points of Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop.
You'll want longer.
Title of my sex tape?
That was actually a decent sex tape joke.
You don't want to go down that path.
She's telling you she created a virus to kill all the soups on the planet. Not only do I think she's already gone down that path, I think she's paved it and started installing streetlights.
She hasn't gone down the path yet because she hasn't used the virus yet, with the exception of test subjects. In this context, going down the path refers to unleashing the virus on the general population of soups.
Episode undersells the darkness of this scene and pretty much any scene with Rufus once you realize that with a reputation like his, the only imaginable way people are hanging out with him is that he is just constantly messing with their heads so they can't remember how much of a dirtbag he is.
So maybe he is messing with their heads, or maybe he hangs out with people who don't care about what he's done. As depressing as it is, there are a lot of Rufus types out there.
Also, he's way too happy and pain-free after what we saw happen to his Did it grow back? Did he steal one from someone else?
Asking questions that are completely irrelevant.
Strange how unprepared this society is for all the problems that come with soups. Polarity is having a seizure, and an apparent side effect is him uncontrollably using his powers. Now, maybe this is the first time they're dealing with something like this, even though I highly doubt it. But they sent this regular-looking ambulance and paramedic crew, which is a Vought company, by the way, to deal with this soup-based problem. I guess I'm saying that out of necessity, they could and should be better equipped to deal with these kinds of unknowns than paramedics in the real world.
In the previous episode, I explained how creating a powerful thing does not automatically mean you also create a safeguard for it. I used the example of nuclear weapons and energy being invented without any cure for radiation poisoning. That still applies to this situation. Also, he said that he doubts this is the first time they're dealing with something like this, but he's not basing that on anything. He's just making a random assumption. In fact, Vought being unprepared for this scenario is actually evidence that they haven't dealt with this before.
We have no idea who this is or why they saw a fight that had nothing to do with them and decided it needed lasers.
Don't worry, girl. I got your back.
Hide out in the green room until it all blows over.
Employing the Shaun of the Dead doctrine.
Discount Jeremy makes a...
Your blood, there's compound V in it.
Welcome back to America's favorite game show, Do I Buy That? Where something unbelievable plays on the screen, and I tell you if I buy that. So the ultimate question today is, can Marie sense compound V in the blood of others?
And I'm gonna stop you right there, because the episode just showed us that she can, so questioning it is really stupid.
Paths, Marie. You have to choose. You can't have both.
Not using the obvious cake metaphor because we live in a time when one can no longer trust what is and isn't cake.
Cringeworthy joke is worthy of cringe.
Oh Polarity's running at 14 RPMs.
Pointless throwaway sin is pointless and thrown away like civil rights at the Republican National Convention.
You all leave a path of destruction behind you.
Have you ever considered that might be because of the broken psychological conditions created by institutions? Like the one you're currently the head of?
This is an example of a character being flawed, which is not a mistake of the episode. Shetty is absolutely missing the real issue here, but that's exactly why she's a villain.
Don't help.
One of the problems here with Kate's powers is that she's so general with her speech that her pushes become subjective. Like the word help, in this case, could be interpreted very differently. If by chance Marie was able to believe that Shetty surviving to stand trial for her crimes was a worse punishment than death, then she possibly could have worked around Kate's command and saved her life because her intention was to harm Shetty and not help her.
Your sin here relies on the assumption that the victim of Kate's power has any say over the interpretation of Kate's command. If Kate's intention is the only thing that matters, then there's no such thing as interpretation.
You and I, we have the same goals, right?
So you're really going to ask this during the shadowy parking garage meetup, Dr. Cardosa, so you can die as one of those shining examples of an intellectual person with absolutely no street smarts?
And why is that a bad thing? I mean, you're right about him having no street smarts, but why is that a mistake of the episode? You can't just say shit without explaining.
I don't feel so good.
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir. Please. Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Let's all just calm down and assess the situation.
The situation's bleeding all over the f***ing rug.
That fake-ass laugh.
I'm done. Maybe eventually you'll realize I'm being a hero.
Well, could you be a hero and explain all these f***ing lamps? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this shot alone.
These are candles.
You can beat me. But do you really think you can beat him?
Who the f knows? I still don't really understand what's lethal to these people. I've seen Jordan take a laser to the chest. I've seen Sam throw all of these people around like rag dolls with no consequences. I've seen a penis explode and then the owner of said penis walk around like normal the next day. What I do know is that Marie absolutely could take both of them out, but for some reason doesn't.
And how do you know that? Could you cite your source? Oh, you don't have any. Okay, then this sin is moot.
So what, we just sit here?
No, we stopped them.
But you just let them go. How does giving them a head start give you a better chance at stopping them?
Marie clearly didn't think she could beat them in a fight, which is why she let them go. Look, you can claim that Marie could beat them all day long, but until you provide any actual reason for that claim, I'm going with Marie herself.
I'm missing a farm-to-table fest at Ina and Jeffrey's to be at this board meeting.
I can't figure out who or what is getting at this fest, but the phrasing confused me enough that I completely missed whatever Ashley says next.
Pointless dumb sin is pointless and dumb.
Who was that?
That was Andy.
I'm suddenly very relieved that Toy Story 5 isn't likely to be an Amazon Prime production.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
You are superior to them, and it's time we showed it.
Person with powers claims people with powers are superior to those without powers. Cliché. If it ain't Magneto saying it, I don't want to hear it.
Hey, that's 2 in a row.
Okay, it's time to dig into this supersonic gadget. We know that Frenchie used supersonic frequencies to distract Homelander at the end of Season 3, but now we've jumped to pocket versions of this tech that this series confirms can neutralize every soup thanks to them all having super hearing? Every soup! This tech feels like a bigger deal than a virus, and yet no one really seems to be talking about it.
Let's say everyone started talking about it like you're suggesting. The soups would eventually catch wind of this tech that neutralizes them, and many would probably do everything in their power to get rid of the technology. I mean, when you're super powerful, you'll do anything to conserve your power. Keeping this tech quiet is actually a pretty good decision.
Ever since Translucent died, there's been a gaping empty hole in the 7.
Well, actually, you've had several gaping holes after Translucent. The Nazi Bride, the Fish Pervert, Heart Attack Flash, Gal Gadot, and Bright Spark. Why aren't you as concerned about filling their slots?
The only slot that's been open long-term has been Translucent's. They replaced Stormfront with Supersonic, brought the Deep back, A-Train was out until he got his heart transplant, and Maeve and Starlight are both still in the 7 at this point.
Yes, you have to admire the sudden apocalyptic set dressing here, complete with, but not limited to, a broken bicycle, a trash can fire, a literal dumpster fire, and an abandoned car, which is, of course, also on fire. It's been mere minutes, but we're already looking like 28 soups later.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture. Also, I usually don't talk about the captions, but they misspelled the word mere. How do you misspell something so simple and easy? Damn.
What the f?
This reveal that Emma's powers were linked to her emotional state and not specifically to her eating is a freaking amazing twist that deserves to be in a much less mediocre action-baity finale.
Discount Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
What? This is a terrible place for a panic button. My fellow desk workers, look upon your knee and think about all the times you've cracked it on a desk. Then think about where on that desk that point of impact is. It's right there. If Shetty is anything like a regular human, this alarm would be accidentally activated hourly, and I have the knee bruises to prove it.
I work at a security desk on my college campus, and I agree that hitting your knees on the desk is a part of the job, but you typically hit the underside of the desk. The button is facing outward, meaning your knee wouldn't actually press it when you hit the desk. I know I'm getting nitpicky, but he's pointing out dumb shit like this, so I feel justified.
Turn on the sonic whistle, we're good.
So the sonic thingy has been rolled out across the entire campus? Again, why aren't we talking about the soup neutralizing tech? Most of the boys has been figuring out how to bring soups to justice or find their vulnerability, and here we have a huge f***ing vulnerability that affects all soups, and it feels like it's no big deal.
Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
So if Ashley knows about the sonic soup denier, then why doesn't she have one?
What makes you think she doesn't? The episode never said whether or not she had one, so you're just making an assumption.
Gen V used a Wilhelm scream. They thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Sinning the Wilhelm scream. That's worth this many sins.
Badass moment and all, but how did Marie make blood knives that were hard enough to penetrate a soup's body, but soft enough to avoid going through the helicopter and killing everyone inside?
magic.
So did Marie, like, have to kill him? We've seen her control people's heart rate, so couldn't she just tank his blood pressure and make him pass out? Hell, couldn't she do the same thing to Kate? It'd be no less bullshitty than literally detecting a foreign chemical in their bloodstream.
In the heat of the moment, maybe she didn't think of it. I mean, I'm sure she could, but they're also basically dealing with a soup apocalypse here.
Couldn't resist bringing out Homelander, could ya? Well, congrats, because now you've locked in the old where were the Avengers problem that always happens with spinoffs. Every big disaster will be asking where are the boys, or the good guys prevail, and we'll ask why didn't Homelander intervene? Or somebody says and we ask why wasn't Butcher here to say that?
That sin has already been debunked for the MCU, so I'll stick with the boys universe. As far as this specific situation goes, how do you know the boys are even aware of it? The show hasn't given us any reason to suspect that they know about this in the first place. And Homelander is showing up right now, so you can't complain about the Seven not getting involved.
Oh, come on. Homelander wasn't enough. Did you really have to butcher the point, too? Now I'll be spending season 4 of The Boys wondering how all this fits in. And heaven forbid you go into the new season having not watched Gen V, because now you'll have no f***ing clue what's happening, or what Butcher is doing at this random school, or why people are worried about some virus.
Dude, you signed up to watch a connected universe. If you don't want to watch a connected universe, then don't. This is like complaining about a movie being scary when you picked a horror movie.
I just don't see how Deadpool bragging about is going to save the MCU, and I'm still shocked at how efficiently Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness completely negates any of the character development we saw in WandaVision. So yes, Butcher, what a bunch of C words.
Discount Jeremy makes 3 pop culture references that aren't sins of the episode cliche.
I'm in danger.
I lift things up and put them down.
Excuse me?
I lift things up and put them down.